Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. How is everybody doing this morning? It is the big NFL Championship Sunday, and I'll have no rushing around to do because my granddaughter's christening was postponed as we are waiting the beginning of a 2-foot snowstorm here over the next 24 to 36 hours, and we hope we get out on a plane on Tuesday morning. Well, welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're live here on, of course, TGI Sports Talk and the McGrath Podcast Network. You can see the logo at the top. Watch all the shows on McGrath Podcast Network. Our panel shows that we do on Wednesday, professional sports show, the big football show, which is changing into, I think, the big sports show on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. I'm on there before we start the 9 o'clock show. Thank you to the groups that allow us to share. John Gonzalez, you always see them scrolling at the bottom of the screen, but of course, our quick shout out to excuse me, I'm trying to do something here. Quick shout out to John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities. Great, the best admin out there. Another great one is Greg Rawlings over at America's Pastime, The Love for Baseball. Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports, great podcast that they do. Make sure you check them out on Let's Talk Sports and on Facebook. Let's Talk Sports also is a good friend of this show and allows us to share. Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of all sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams over at RW Media. Ralph does a great job out of Ocean City, Maryland, specifically the Sports Corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoking Jim Frazier. We'll be live tomorrow morning, by the way, with the Jack and Keith weekend playbook live here on all of these networks and the McGrath Streaming Podcast Network. Then we'll be on vacation. So there'll be no college football or college sports huddle the next 2 Wednesdays. There'll be no MLB update or the next 2 Fridays. Jack and Keith will have 3 can shows. Tomorrow morning we'll be live, but the following Friday, Monday, Friday, we'll have can shows. One is going to be about our best players, MLB players, never make a World Series. We talk about NBA great teams in another show. And then we're going to do a show tomorrow afternoon before I leave, kind of our Super Bowl preview, which will air the Friday before the Super Bowl. I plan to be live from the Western Caribbean, Panama, Colombia, Honduras. We're in a lot of places. So we got some stops we have not been to in this trip. But we'll try to go live on Sundays. We'll try to get on the panel show at 8 o'clock, and we'll try to do our show live. We'll figure out a way. I went Facebook Live, and it worked. StreamYard gave me some issues the last time. We're on a different cruise line, different area, part of the Caribbean, so we'll see. We might have a better run at it, but we'll give it a go, and we will have shows the next 2 Sundays. And then the Monday I get back, no post Super Bowl show on Monday. We're going to do our Jack and Keith weekend playbook live on Tuesday at 8 a.m. I'll post all that for you guys. Lots to talk about today. We got Patriots and Broncos. We got Rams and Seahawks. We got coaching news. The the classless Buffalo Bill situation on my mind. Not so much firing your head coach, but what you did to lead up to that. I'm sorry, not just leading up to that, but after the fact. Keep backing the bus up over your ex-coach. Just classless. Terry Pagula, take my money for a new stadium. You are a classless individual, let me tell you. Mike McCarthy goes to the Steelers. We'll talk about the jobs that are left open. McDaniel turned down some jobs. Eric Bieniemy's back in the NFL. MLB, we can talk about the Hall of Fame voting if you want. Beltran and Andrew Jones get in. Bellinger back to the Yankees. The Mets offseason. Big, busy week getting Robert, getting Peralta. We know they signed Bichette a little over a week ago. The Dodgers and their payroll, do not think it's bad for baseball myself. It is what it is. Best free agents left. College football, congratulations to Indiana on their national championship. Well played, classy team. Not sure about Mendoza in the NFL, guys. You know, the tools are there. Something's missing in my mind. We'll see. And the rest of his quarterback class just is not good. College basketball, we'll start to talk about when I get back on the college sports huddle. But Arizona and Nebraska and Miami of Ohio, the only major colleges that are undefeated at this point. I think 19-0 and 20-0 these teams are. Talk to NBA if you want. Derrick Rose, number retired. Knicks treading water. You know, it's your show. NHL. We'll talk about whatever you want. Let's see who's with us this morning. Danny Fuller's with us out in California, up early and at it. He was on the panel show earlier, and we always thank Danny for coming in. CA, good morning. Good to have you with us. Now, how many people are going to be affected by the snowstorm? It's covering 2,500 miles, and about 200 million people will be affected either by ice or snow in this storm. One of the biggest storms, not the biggest storm. Listen, I come from a place where you were getting 18 to 24 inches of snow. I used to grow up and get where I grew up. I can remember winters where I get 3 of these storms in a week. This is the biggest storm we've had in 4 years. You know, I'm not a big climate change person. Actually, I am. Climate does change. The planet changes. So there are natural progressions, peaks and valleys, and we're in a moderate stretch right now. But we get weather sells, man, like nothing else. Weather sells like nothing else. They sell these things like, you know, it's winter in New York. Guess what it does in winter in New York? It snows and it's cold. It's 0 out there right now. Or is it 0 still? Sorry, it's gone up to 1 degree. The wind chill today is supposed to be below 0 all day. But good morning. Good to have you with us. Donna, good afternoon. I'm sorry, good morning. Stay safe in the storm yourself. We have about 4 inches already in Philly. Yes, it's coming our way. It's going to start sometime while this show is in progress for sure. But stay safe. And again, there's places where, you know, if we live in upstate New York, we should be able to navigate a storm, and you're not going to be trapped for a week. You know, I have to get to the vet tomorrow afternoon to get the cat to her boarding spot because we're going to be gone for 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, I guess. So I'm going to have to go out in the weather, whatever's left tomorrow afternoon. It should be fine by then. The heaviest stuff is supposed to come, from what I heard, 12 to 12 today. So 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. A little bit more before dusk, and then some spotty, 1 inch, 2 inches during the day tomorrow. It'll be easy to get around for me. Looking forward to the football today, patiently waiting for the pitchers and catchers. Enjoy this season, Donna, because next year's in danger. Because, that whole topic of revenue sharing is really just a button pusher for me. My immediate reaction last year was to talk the fact that maybe baseball needed a salary cap. I don't think that anymore, because my belief about life in general is, free market. The market determines what people earn. And if you don't want to spend your money the way the Dodgers spend their money or the Yankees spend their money, then don't. But you'll lose, and maybe those teams need to go out of business. Good morning. Oh, well, I can't put up everybody's good mornings. Take you, please. My wife would be upset if I did that. Good morning, Rick. Good to have you with us out in Amsterdam. Rick will be in the brunt of the storm like Donna is and some others are. Danny, he's out there in sunny California. Hopefully it's sunny. So unless his backyard's on fire, everything should be fine there. I joke. And the bus is still, I know that there were fires out there, and I hope it's not too soon. I'm just joke about everything, so please don't take offense. And the buses still ran and school was open. Yeah, you'd have to get 18 to 20 inches of snow for us to close school. I shouldn't say that. A foot, right? They didn't close school 2 days before when we were forecast to get, 2 to 4. God, right, Rick? Jeez, man. New York City, by the way, if you aren't aware, no more snow days for kids in New York. The Mandami, the mayor, has gotten with the school board in New York City and said, no, there'll be virtual learning on the days the schools are not open. So, there is that. Yeah, we both have to live under ridiculous regimes here, Danny. Not to focus on politics too much, but also, by the way, there are games canceled in Minnesota because of the rioters. You call them protesters if you want. They're rioters. They're impeding law enforcement from doing their lawful duty. Just stay home and don't impede people. Do two things. Don't impede law enforcement from doing their job, and also comply with law enforcement. And guess what happens? You go home alive. Whatever. But yes, Danny, I would rather have the snow. I'm sorry. I'd rather have the sun and ridiculous soul-sucking politics than snow. That's what we call. Right. Holding out coming in. What? Holding out coming in 27. You got 27 inches coming. Is that what you're saying? Where's what's the IEP? Is that, I'm guessing, Philadelphia? So it's not just New York City's done this, eh? Yeah, I know. You know what? Life is, unfortunately, all of life is about politics today, even sports. It's ridiculous. There will be. Unfortunately, Donna, it's imperative. It's going to happen. I mean, because the owners want a salary cap. They're going to lock the players out in 27 if something doesn't budge with the collective bargaining agreement, which is going to expire at the end of the season. And I don't see any way that it's going to change. I would say probably, again, I'm not saying this as a negative because I don't have a problem with the Dodgers paying Tucker $60 million a year. I don't care. I mean, that's what they want to pay him. He's worth that. If he doesn't earn it, he doesn't earn it. But the market says that's what he's worth because the Dodgers are willing to pay him. I don't want to infringe on people's ability to get as much as they can get. Now, the market can do that. JB brought up a great point the other day, and JB's probably not with us just yet, but he brought up a great point. True free market. You let teams collapse. We don't need 32 teams, by the way. Let teams fold. When that happens, there will be less jobs and there'll be less pay because the competition won't be there. Let the process take care of itself, but we can't do that. We're going to expand. Rob Manfred says we need to expand. Big football today, though. Outskirts of Philadelphia. Hello, Brian. Good to be with us. So far, the weather's wonderful. If you like cold, which you're familiar with, obviously. But there is snow, and I believe you've somehow the Midwest has really missed the bulk. Not Midwest, the northern Midwest, I believe, has missed the bulk of the storm. Maybe got the cold. But we could get about 2 feet. I saw the forecast was up from 14 to 20 to 18 to 24 this morning. It's all going to depend on how, because it's a slow moving storm, very little moisture. So it's going to be light, fluffy stuff. So easy to move around, but we'll get out and get what we got to do. Oregon's still bannerless. It's a good day, Danny says. Everybody stay safe. I don't think, Brian, you're getting that big storm, but if you are, God bless. Stay safe to you as well. Danny and Paul. Good morning, Paul Spada. How are you? Danny and Paul continue their bickering back and forth. You guys will. Well, never mind. Curious what you think, Keith and chat. Mark Clayton, Miami wide receiver. Oh, there's JB now. Good to have you with us, JB. Check out JB's stuff. JB's who I was referring to had a great point on Friday during the Major League Baseball update. I had brought up free market. He really talked about, a true free market where teams who can't compete fold. So you can post that again if you'd like, JB. But you've got Mark Clayton next. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame discussion? Match him up against any Hall of Fame receiver. His stats hold and beat a lot of the big names. I'd have to dive deeper, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on right now, although we do have Hall of Fame voting coming up during Super Bowl week. So one of these Sundays that I'm on the ship, and we'll be talking about the finalists for the Hall of Fame. Mark Clayton has not made the finals yet. I don't know if he's made it to the second, the cut before the finalists. I'm not sure. Dive deeper into Mark. Just gut says Mark Clayton deserves consideration. Now you got to remember, listen, Otis Taylor isn't in the Football Hall of Fame. I don't believe he should be, but numbers. People today only want to go look at numbers, and you have to look at different things. Otis Taylor today would be catching 120 passes. He was a freak of nature, great player. Mark Clayton at the time was at a time when the pass was really, becoming more prevalent in pro football. Him and Mark Duper, super wide receivers. I mean, they kept those Dolphin teams alive. Marino, Duper, and Clayton, and Nat Moore early on. But I think he should probably get a little more consideration, and I'd have to go look. Again, it isn't just numbers I got to look at, though. You got to remember, because that team threw the ball more than anybody at that point in time. But probably deserves some consideration, JB. Everybody say safe and warm. Oregon just threw money, can't buy you a championship. Ask Nike. We also have in college football a little bit of news as well. And again, we'll spend the next hour and 40 minutes talking about what you guys want to talk about. There is a fairly big story, two big stories in college football other than Indiana winning the national championship. And obviously those are off the field and have to do with NIL, basically. The Mensa story with Duke, he's been allowed to hit the portal, but he can't sign with Miami just yet because we're still waiting for one more judge's ruling. Again, he had an agreement with Duke and decided to go back in the portal. And, there aren't a lot of rules to stop him unless the language in whatever contract, and these are going to be contracts going forward, NIL, pay for play, whatever we want to call them, saying if you don't fulfill that contract, there'll be penalties you have to pay, just like coaches leaving. There's going to be buyouts or repayments or whatever you want to call them. So that story has to play out. And then on a similar conversation, Clemson has filed some charges. Dabo Swinney has leveled these charges at the new Mississippi regime, and the fact that they literally called one of their players, one of their transfers or recruits, I guess it was a transfer, and said, what's your contract look like? and beat the contract, and off he's going to Ole Miss now. And Dabo's screaming tampering. That's one of the problems with this whole thing in college football. There is no tampering regulations that I'm aware of. You know, just because a guy comes to you, we saw it in Washington. Their quarterback nearly left for LSU. What was his name? Williams. There's so many players in the news for this. I lose track. He eventually goes back when Washington threatened legal action. But we see a lot of this. Guys commit one place and then hit the portal before they ever get on campus. So there aren't really any rules. It's still the wild, wild west a little bit. Donna's looking at 8 to 10. Weather Channel says 17 to 21. It could be like Mendami in New York and say, well, we're going to get 3 to 21 inches, or 3 to 18, I guess he said, to be fair. Good thing he's not a weatherman, because even they can't get away with those big ranges. And this is a weird storm. To be fair to the weatherman, it's not easy to predict the weather. I understand they get on him. I joke about him a lot. But it's not easy, especially these types of storms where, you know, if it tracks 10 miles this way, you know, you get 10 more inches of snow than they said they would get. And if you predict low and you get high, then people are all over you because you put people in danger. And then if you predict too much, and people sit and don't do anything, and then nothing happens, you get ripped for that. So not exact science. Hello again, Paul. And Don, I apologize for a little move into politics. And Sundays we dive into it just a little bit. It's nothing earth shattering. I'm really pissed off this week, and I refrained. I don't even post on social media, quite frankly, and I haven't. I have had a post that I was going to put up in support of certain people. But I've put it up and taken it down before anybody saw it, probably 6 times now, because I made a vow to myself I wasn't going to get involved in that cesspool of social media where inaccurate information is just passed on. Like it's everywhere. It's not just sports. It's politics. It's entertainment. You can't just, whatever it is, I'm going to warn everybody. I don't care if it's sports, entertainment, politics, whatever it is. You see a post you like and you want to share it, I promise you, you will do yourselves a huge favor in doing just a little bit of research to make sure that a legitimate source is reporting the same thing. Otherwise, you look like an idiot. You really do. You know, and I'm not saying people are idiots that do this, because they just go, oh, I agree with that. Share. Again, whatever it's sports, and you want to see, and how many pictures do you see? And now the big thing is, as this is a stream of consciousness, one of the big things is to say, I'll see something about celebrities, right? And there'll be a header or a comment about that celebrity, but then I'll put a picture of a totally different celebrity just to see if anybody picks up on it. Oh, God. We're getting better, Don. My voice comes and goes. I've still got a bit of a cough. My cough will be if I'm sitting and, you know, watching a ball game or watching a movie or whatever. I'm pretty good. I'm laying in bed. I cough a little bit as I move around, like I'm getting ready for bed, and my body temperature heats up because I'm just naturally freaking like the surface of the sun. My cough will pick up. But then as I get into bed and settle in, listen, it's 10 below zero last night, and I've got a fan on me. So I got to keep my body temperature down, or I have all these coughs. Plus the house is kind of dry. I had to turn the humidity. We have an all-house humidifier, and so I had to turn that up a little bit just because it was drying out too much. I like it dry, but the problem is that's the problem in general. So I don't know what Brian said. Oh, be safe. And we have 2 big football games today. One labeled a JV game. I've done that for years, Danny. Again, that's an old joke. I used to say that all the time during the Patriots 20-year run. By the way, if we should be starting a new dynasty, and I'm saying this tongue in cheek, by the way, so just see the tongue, tongue in cheek. Should the Patriots go on another run like the last one, I thought about this the other day. I'd be 85 years old when it was over. And I didn't really want to, because it's a joke. The best game of the day is probably going to be Seattle and the Rams, no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind. I like the Denver. Obviously, I'm more interested in the Denver Patriot game because of my allegiances. I'm not happy, to be clear, that Jarrett Stidham is on the other side of the field. I am a guy who doesn't root for teams to be at, partial strength so that I have a better chance of winning. If I'm betting games, that's one thing. As a fan, I want to beat you at your best. And I would give anything for Bo Nix to be playing in this game today. Anything. Because I've got to listen to nonsense. And I know you had made a comment on the Big Football Show that I need to shut up. I will. Because you know me, I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm not wrong about this Patriot team. You can take the schedule nonsense and smoke it. Do whatever you want with it. Because if the Patriots should win the Super Bowl, they will have beaten 4 of the top 5 defenses in football. And by the way, I'm not convinced the other one isn't them. Right now, you got 4 really good defensive football teams in this playoff. I don't see the Seattle Rams game getting into the 30s. 2 really good defenses, and I believe they've been both teams in the 30s in both games, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. 1-point differences. I do like Seattle, but there's that Sam Darnold caveat out there. If they have to rely on Sam Darnold, they will not win this football game in my mind. Sam Darnold is a fine quarterback managing a football game. When you ask Sam Darnold to do too much, the bad part of Sam Darnold will come out. And I don't say that as a knock. I really don't. People use the word game manager as a, like there's something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're a good manager of a game in the NFL, you are a very good NFL quarterback. And there aren't a lot of guys out there that you can say, get on my back and I'll lead you to victory. The Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings. I would put Stafford probably as the only guy in this playoff that's left in this playoff that I would say that about. I would say it if Bo Nix was in here too. As much a Drake May fan as I am, if the Patriots can't run the football, Drake May struggles. More so. It's just natural. Unless you're, again, one of these great, and again, there's a lot of other quarterbacks I left out. You want to list them, you can feel free. But I think Stafford's the only guy who can say, and he's probably got the third best running, maybe second. I don't know. The running games, I don't like Denver's running game at all. I think the Patriots will stuff that running game and make it, and I'm going to make Jarrett Stidham beat me. He might have some big plays today because of that. And if I got to take a coach to grab a guy who's been sitting around gathering cobwebs, Sean Payton's a good coach for that. I'm not happy about the Patriots traveling yesterday. I don't understand how they don't get out there midweek, even early week, and get more accustomed to the altitude. And again, I'm not. If I lose, you will not hear me say any of those things as excuses. I don't make excuses. I do think it would have behooved them to do that. Denver's a good defense. I don't think the Patriots go there and blow this team out. But if they don't win, I will eat crow. They should not lose to Jarrett Stidham. Quite frankly, they shouldn't. Yeah, Jack, I don't know. Jack, I'm going to have to call Jack out on this tomorrow morning. I mean, Jared Stidham is not a top 5 backup. I sat here and named 10 guys better than him without even thinking about it. And they weren't, some of them aren't very good. So, and a JV remark is just, that's me, rabble rousing. That's all. Believe me, I have great respect for Seattle and great respect for the Rams. I use that JV remark for a lot of years just to kind of rile people up. There absolutely should be tampering penalties in college recruitment. I agree. There are none, unfortunately. I mean, there's time of year that you can reach. You're not supposed to reach out to people when they're not in the portal, right? So that's the tampering allegation. But I don't think there's any penalties put in place. And there really needs to be. Dabo's not wrong here. There's no regulations, period. That's a problem. I agree. Again, the NCAA doesn't want to, when they establish rules, they don't enforce them. Remember all the way back to when, and again, we'll get back to the NFL. We're going to talk a lot about the NFL. We got an hour and a half here to do it. You remember all the way back to 2020 when this really started to become, I think 2020, maybe even 2019, before COVID, when NIL really hit, when the ruling came down, it was the Ed O'Bannon case. If you don't know why we're really where we are, it's because Ed O'Bannon, who played 30 plus years ago at UCLA, had sued the NCAA and for using his likeness in a video game. That's what started this whole ball rolling. And when the ruling came down in favor of the players, I think other guys had joined that lawsuit over the years. But once it came down, the NCAA didn't put any regulations in. They said, well, what about the schools just regulate themselves? Really? That's like letting the bank robbers count the cash in the vault. Jeez, good grief. Imagine telling a 19-year-old he has to pay back $2 million he already spent. Well, there's going to be some problems in this area. You will see a lot more litigation, or they better let somebody handle their money, because if you spent my $2 million and you want to move on, well, I guess in that case he wouldn't move on, would he, Rick? Because he couldn't pay back the money. Hello, Chris, our Canadian, our Canadian correspondent, who probably laughs when we get one storm a year of a foot or more. In 1995, both Sammy Sosa and Ken Caminiti both hit 2 inside the park home runs each in separate games. That's 2 inside the park home runs is very, very rare. Hitting for the cycle is very rare. We talk about things like no-hitters and perfect games, and things like the cycle are as rare, almost as rare as no-hitters. And 2 inside the park home runs in the same game, I guarantee you, is more rare than perfect games. I haven't got it documented to prove it, but my guess would be it's even more rare. And speaking of 2 classic cases for steroids, you got them right there. Hello, Bill Pulver. How can a national championship game have a quarterback play that has not attended a class? Because, by the way, that's not an unusual case. Let's not single out Carson Beck for not attending classes. Graduate students move often to a new school or stay in school. They have no more classes. They've graduated, but they have a year of eligibility left. It happens all over the place. Now, some of them will take some classes, do something with their time other than play football, but a lot of them don't. We've had kids go. There was a kid only a couple of years ago went from in basketball, went from UAlbany to Villanova as a graduate student. He didn't go to class. Again, these are what the rules are, That was a funny meme up there about Carson Beck applying for like an 18th year of eligibility, and picture of him. And it was a picture of Steve Buscemi in Carson Beck's jersey. Oh, God. So that's, this isn't amateur athletics anymore, Bill. We have to get used to that fact. I don't like it even a little bit. But this is a professional sport now. So there'll be less kids going to school. Watch. Oh, I know. Don't worry. You're all good. I always apologize when I dive off the deep end into politics because I try to keep them out of my shows. And again, I don't do it on social media just because I'm not getting into that cesspool. I won't post anything. I'm close to posting this one thing. I'll probably put it up again today and take it right back down. I have very strong political beliefs, very strong, but they're mine. I'm not trying to convince you. So I don't know why. I don't like the misinformation. That's what I don't like. When you post something that is so blatantly wrong and all you had to do was a little research, I just don't get it. And that's, again, by the way, that's not just politics. That's everything. Dodger fans remember a young Chan-Ho Park throwing 100 miles an hour. Chan-Ho Park was a good pitcher for about 2 years from Korea. He's a guy when I get playing Stratomatic baseball, and I play Stratomatic. For those of you who don't know, it was a board game when I was a kid. Baseball, very detailed baseball board game. Loved it, and now you can play online, and I play in a lot of the tournaments that the Stratomatic people have. I think I've got like 5 teams going right now, but it's a lot of fun. And I always seem to end up taking a Chan-Ho Park if it's one of those card sets, and he always sucks, always. I didn't have Chan-Ho Park on my bingo card today though, Chris. Great job. Good friend of the show, Paul Rosen, will be commenting on Paralympic games in Italy, particularly sledge hockey. Awesome. If you don't remember, we had Paul Rosen on our interview show a year or so ago. Paul won a Olympic gold in the Paralympics. He was a goaltender. He lost his, I don't know which leg. He lost one of his legs, so he has participated there. He's been coaching hockey in Australia, among other places, and now he's going to do some commenting. We'll certainly look to catch that. Chris, if you know where that's going to be broadcast, let us know so we can do a little. He is talking about Carson, who already graduated. Yeah, I mean, again, this is far from an isolated case. This is happening on every campus in college football. There are guys who are graduate students who don't need to go to class. Any political posts I pass by on by no sense in argue. I don't argue with anybody. We were out to dinner with the kids, my grandkids, yesterday. We came back to the house for some dessert, and we are on way different political spectrums, and a couple comments got made, and I continued to play with my granddaughter and just did not engage. So that's how I roll these days. Don is in college, currently taking a sociology class, and we learned about social stratification. Can you educate everybody? Not necessarily talking about the people in the room right now, but in general, we could use some education on a lot of that type of thing. That's what happens to me. I keep the fan on all the time. Always. I got to have air circulating. God, I'll be watching. So when I settle in later to watch the ball games, and I got to get some stuff packed. We're leaving Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Theoretically, fingers crossed. I'm either on a plane or in a car driving to Florida because there are no flights. We were going to get out Saturday morning. And while I'm trying to figure out how to get the cat to the vet, and I have to see the vet because the cat's not doing great. She's 17. She's in first stage 1 renal failure, which all older cats get. It's not a huge deal. She's still hanging in there, but I need to see the vet. I need to talk to her more about the special diet she's on. I'm kind of winging it with her food and whatnot. So while I'm trying to figure this out, the flight closed. There were no more flights out of Albany Saturday. There are no flights out, obviously, today, Monday. No. Tuesday, there's no other flights out of Albany except the one we have at 6 a.m. We should be okay because the storm is supposed to dissipate during the day Monday. The flight that we're taking is coming in the night before from Fort Lauderdale at 9:30. I would guess the airport would be open and taking planes by then, and which would mean we'd be able to get out Tuesday morning. So I got to get packed today because I got a live show with Jack at 8. We're going to tape a show at 11. I've got to get to East Greenbush because I still drive my cat 35 miles to the vet or from where we moved because she loves it there when we go away, and they love her. They don't know she's safe. I love her doctor. So I've got to drive through the snow and crap tomorrow at 2. So I'll probably be gone 3 hours for that or more. So after the show, I've got to get packed so I can get settled. The whole point of that, again, stream of consciousness, is that when I get settled in later, we'll have the fireplace on, I'll have a blanket on me, and a fan blowing on me. That's the only way I can roll. Pats and Hawks win today. I like both of those teams. The question would be, either one of the Rams or the Seahawks will be favored over the Patriots in the Super Bowl. No matter how you face it. Surprise, the line has gone from 4.5 to 3.5. Some people saw it as high as 5 earlier in the week, I think. I never really saw it over 4.5. Talking about the Patriots Broncos. I don't like laying those kind of numbers on the road, but I probably will today. I don't know what. I think the Rams and Seahawks, either one of them I think would be a 4. I don't know. Danny, you're probably the best guy of the people we're talking about because we know point spreads mean only one thing, by the way. Point spreads are only put what they are, whether it's 1 point, whether it's 20 points. It doesn't mean anything other than that particular book wants the same amount of money bet on both sides of that game. That's all it means. Now, it does mean that they think this team's a lot better. That's how they get people to bet the other way. My guess would be the Rams or Seattle against the Patriots would be probably a 4 or 5 point favorite. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it should be that, but I think there'll be some of that schedule nonsense bias. Again, they didn't go pick their schedule. So anyway, we'll find out. 2005, the White Sox fast tracked to the World Series win. Their playoff was 11-1. That was Ozzie Guillen managing that team. Ozzie only got one more job after leaving the White Sox in Miami. It didn't last very long. That was a really good White Sox team. They beat the Astros, I believe, in the World Series, if I'm not wrong. And Pettit and Clemens may have been with that team. Am I right or wrong? I'm not sure. It's nonsense. You can only play the teams put in front of you. It's accurate, but how about we go look at the results of those games, Paul? Has anybody taken the time to look at the fact that we beat the Jets and we beat Miami by a bunch? We beat what, I don't know, some people want to say was a pretty good, even though they're only 8-9 Carolina team, very up and down. They beat that team by 30. Beat the Bills in Buffalo. Eight 8-0 on the road. Nobody else is 8-0 on the road. 21-19 is the score in the LA. I would look for that to be, and Danny, I don't know if you agree, I would look for that to be more the score today. And something in the low 20s to the low 20s or 21-19 looks good. I think the other game was like 39-38, wasn't it? Really high scoring. It might have been the game in Seattle. Sure what that's for. Good morning, CJ. Haven't seen you in a dog's age. How are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Hope you're doing well. You still doing some of your podcasting? I know CJ's big in hockey, certainly big in football. Jet fan. Sorry. Good to have CJ with us, though, today. Hope he'll participate a little bit today. You're always welcome here. And love to promote your stuff if you're still doing some stuff. Not having hello, J-Train. James Martin is with us today. Not having a sufficient running game will definitely hurt Stidham's chances of success. I agree. Again, if I'm the Patriots, I'm really making Stidham beat me. And if he does, God bless him. I don't see that happening. Their weapons are okay. I don't see anything prolific enough to say they can lift Jarrett Stidham above where Jarrett Stidham really is. And again, Jarrett Stidham is, I said immediately when Jack said, top 5 backup, I said bottom 5. I'll spend some time this afternoon and kind of reiterate that before I legitimize that before I call Jack out on that comment tomorrow, but I'm going to. I don't know if I can. If Jarrett Stidham should lead to victory today, I probably can't hold Jack's feet to the fire, and I'll probably avoid that conversation tomorrow or apologize. Actually, no, I would not avoid that conversation tomorrow. I will attack it head on, and I'll give Jack credit. I don't know if I'll still say he's one of the top 5 backups, but listen, Patriots have had an awful time in Denver over the years. 0-4 in the playoffs. The last time I remember them playing there was painful. And I talk a lot about Tom Brady. And again, I'm not saying Drake May is Tom Brady, please. But I see some really good characteristics in May and being able to play badly for a large portion of the game and then pick it up a notch and beat you in the fourth quarter. Tom Brady did this a lot. Tom Brady, the last playoff game they had in Denver was the year Peyton Manning's last year, I believe. I could be wrong about this, but I believe it was his last year when they went on and they beat Carolina. They lost that game 14-12. This is all off of memory. So Peyton and Brady was awful. The weather wasn't great. The Denver defense was really good. Brady was not good, but he brought him back in the fourth quarter, and with seconds, I believe, left on the clock, I'm going to say I was at least less than a minute, maybe much more than that, or much less than that. They scored a touchdown to make it 14-12, and Brady missed Gronk wide open in the end zone. He never saw him. He went somewhere else. Gronk was basically standing alone. One of my worst memories there. Going back in time, the year after they went to their first Super Bowl against the Bears in '86. The year after that, they won the Eastern Division. They had to go out and play a divisional round game in Denver, and they led that game, I want to say 14-10 at halftime, and they ran out of gas. Tony Eason just got beat up. They ran out of gas in the fourth quarter and lost that game, I want to say 24-14, something like that. So again, that's all by memory. So don't hold me to any of that. But those are two of the worst games. There was another game where Champ Bailey ran back an interception on Brady, like 100 yards. Chris is in a time warp today. He watched a Leafs game from 1994. They had several enforcers on the team, but the overall chemistry was self-accountability. You stuck up for yourself. No fights just because of a big hit. Gotcha. I'm not sure where we're going with that, Chris. Chris was charged by me with going out and getting irreverent information to bring to the stream of consciousness, because this literally is a stream of consciousness, and Chris really helps that go. I help it go too, because my mind has a hard time going in one direction these days. Thank you, Chris. Remember, I said irreverent, Chris. Irreverent. I didn't add any L's or V's in there. Or there's V's in there. No, don't. I graduated from Perth. Right. I didn't understand why they waited until Saturday. I don't know either. I mean, again, that would be the norm, travel Friday or Saturday. But when you're going to a place like Denver, where getting acclimated to the altitude would be in your best interest, I'm a little surprised that this is the direction they went. But Vrabel thought this best, and who am I to cast doubts on Mike Vrabel right now? Not second guessing him. I guess I already did. What I'm making for ESPN 30 for 30, says Danny, or a Hollywood team that let you go and you beat them. Oh, talking about Stidham? It would be. This wouldn't be this wouldn't be one of the biggest upsets in NFL history, right? Because they are playing in Denver. They do have a good defense. They do have talent. But I've heard a lot of comparisons to, well, Jeff Hostetler went in and won. Trent Dilfer went in and won. Kurt Warner went in and won at, not being the starting quarterback all year. But all of those guys played. Phil Simms got hurt in like week 10 or something like that. And Hostetler played, did I say Hostetler? Played 6 games and then the playoffs and played really well. Kurt Warner started the entire season. Trent Green got hurt in the preseason. Tony Banks was terrible in Baltimore, and Dilfer replaced him, the middle of the season. They didn't come in totally cold into a championship game to play. I can't think of an instance, and maybe somebody can. Can you and because Danny would be right. Well, this wouldn't be a huge upset because of the rest of the makeup of the team and who the coach is, in my mind. Him winning this game would be a remarkable story, and I think unparalleled in NFL history, because I can't think of a team that had their starting quarterback not play in a conference championship game. And maybe there's probably somebody out there, and win, or a Super Bowl and win. Doug Williams is another one, but Doug Williams replaced Jay Schroeder, I think, in Washington. He played the entire playoffs, and he played quite a bit during the season. Jarrett Stidham hasn't thrown a ball in over 2 years. I think it would be a huge story. Do I think the Pats O-line can hold up against the Denver pass rush? Well, they held up against the Houston's pass rush, which is the best in the league. They held up against the Chargers pass rush, which is one of the best in the league. But I will tell you, Drake May was beaten and beaten and beaten. The offensive line didn't play great, but they played great when they needed to. And Drake May's got to take better care of the football. Again, CJ, there's one thing that can blow this game up for the Patriots, and that's the Denver defense and their own ball security and keeping Drake May upright. But Drake May this is where I talked about, him being able to come back. He played really poorly because of his own efforts of ball security and the defensive prowess of the Chargers and the Texans. He didn't play well early in either one of those games, but he still came out with decent numbers and a victory because he figured it out with the help of the coaching staff, figured it out in the second half or even the fourth quarters of those games. But he got beat up pretty good in both of these games, in my mind. So again, these are a couple of things that could throw a wrench into things, right? If they get to May like they did the last couple of weeks and he turns the ball over the way he did the last couple of weeks, any one of those games could turn this game on its head. What's not going to turn this game on its head is Jarrett Stidham, I'm pretty sure. He is all that he has now. I don't even know who the backup is for Stidham today. If Stidham gets hurt, who's the backup? That's a great question, Keith. Who is the backup today? By the time I find it, somebody will tell me, I'm sure. Because, again, remember, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, Sam Ellinger, right. Sam Ellinger. Quite frankly, you might see Sam Ellinger in this game. Lane Kiffin is a master tamper and poacher. He'd be bankrupt with penalties for that. Neil, good to have you with us. Neil's a Cowboy fan, I think, right? No comment so far about Mike McCarthy joining the Pittsburgh. I think that's a short-term thing. It made me think of it because I believe Neil's a Cowboy fan. I know he's a South Carolina fan, so he's well familiar with Lane Kiffin. And everybody in the SEC hates Lane Kiffin. But no comments on Mike McCarthy. I didn't bring this up at the beginning. I think Mike McCarthy is a very short-term thing. I think it gives them the best chance to keep Aaron Rodgers. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you can debate because, you go look at his numbers. They aren't too bad. You look at it's 2 of his last 3 games. He played like a 41-year-old quarterback. I think it's short-term, and I think this is a stopgap until they can convince Marcus Freeman to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can take the receipt, bring it back to me later. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just my hunch. I don't have anything really to go on other than the Steelers showing great interest in him for this opening. And other teams also thinking Marcus Freeman I think Marcus Freeman's would be a great fit in the NFL. I'm not really sure staying at Notre Dame. I would say normally I would say staying at Notre Dame would be in your best interest. You can become a legend. Lou Holtz coached everywhere and coached really well everywhere except the Jets. Sorry, CJ. But he didn't become a legend until he won a national championship at Notre Dame. But it's going to get very difficult in Notre Dame with the way the landscape is in college football. For them to, number one, maintain their academics. Number 2, not join a league and continue to reap in the benefits of that. It's going to get harder and harder to schedule. Again, look at this year's schedule. It's worse than last year's. I thought they'd be okay. And they have Miami on the schedule. Rick pointed out to me during the big football show. And that is accurate. But that's the only game I can think of. If they lose a game, the problem is if they lose a game, they won't finish in the top 25. Beating Miami would be very good. The way too early top 25s have Miami around 6. But I think this is short term with Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh. J Train says coaches don't complain about tampering until it affects their own bottom line. Well, true. The only person who can complain is Dabo because of his lack of use of the transfer portal. That's fair. That's fair. And there are guidelines, right? You are tampering. If the kid's not in the portal, you're tampering. The portal's only open twice a year. And they need to change those dates, by the way, as we talked about. But theoretically, you're not supposed to talk to these kids outside of the portal. It happens all the time. We talked about it last year when the coach from West Virginia, I'm sorry. Oh, how do I have this? Backwards? Anyway, a very high-profile hire last year because I'd have to get my memory jogged. Very high-profile coach in college basketball left his current school, and I feel like it was the coach who took the West Virginia job, or vice versa. Did he leave West Virginia and brought his son along with him? And there was tampering there, but the kid's living in his household. What the hell is, geez. Can't remember who that was. If anybody remembers, let me know. I'm trying. I feel like I just don't know. Totally blanking out on this. I know the story, but I'm losing the details. There isn't much Toronto. There isn't much Toronto about the Toronto Argonauts going into next year. They've been signing a player a week, and all I see is Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma. Well, I mean, how many Canadians are actually on any of those Canadian Football League teams? I really don't know, Chris. I used to follow. I've talked about this a lot when Chris will bring up the CFL. I used to follow the CFL a lot. Back in the days when Warren Moon was there for a long period of time, 6 years, I want to say. Vince Ferragamo went up and played in Montreal. Tom Cousineau from Buffalo went up and played there. And some other really good players went up and played. Doug Flutie went up and played there. Fred Biletnikoff played up there at the end of his career. But the last, I don't know, probably 20 years, I haven't paid that close attention. So I don't know how many Canadians are actually on those rosters on average. 2 grand slams in the same inning. That's another good one as far as records that are rare, feats that are rare, I should say, in Major League Baseball. That's a good one. Last one I remember was Fernando Tatis. I don't know if that still holds or not, Danny. Senior. Chris really wants almost for Vizcal in the Hall of Fame. All the off-the-field stuff was alleged. I don't, and put to bed and really had nothing to do with Gold Glove baseball. I'm not sure. And again, it could be my 65-year-old brain. I'm not remembering a lot of stuff with Omar Vizcal off the field. Was it domestic stuff? I'm not sure. I have a sense that he might have been involved in something in that nature. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I will say this. Defense is not taken into account enough. Andrew Jones is in the Hall of Fame because of his defense. He won 10 straight Gold Gloves. That's a rarity in baseball. You know, unless your name Brooks Robinson or Ozzie Smith, or I don't even know if Ozzie won 10 straight. You know, that needs to be taken into account. There are those that will tell you, and I will tell you in my lifetime, Andrew Jones is the best defensive center fielder I've ever seen. And he could hit a little bit, especially early in his career. Later on in his career, he was not that great with a stick. Carlos Beltran, it's funny, their numbers are eerily similar, or eerily similar offensively, actually. I think Danny might have posted that the other day, and I hadn't noticed it until he posted it. But it's kind of freaky. But I think both these guys deserve to get in. It's funny, Hall of Fame selections are going to look a lot different in Major League Baseball going forward. I mean, because look at pitchers. How are we going to judge pitchers really on whether they were Hall of Fame caliber when they're pitching 5 and 6 innings a game and, 10, 11 wins you the Cy Young Award? I mean, we can't look at wins anymore as a criteria. 300 wins used to get you in the Hall of Fame. Nobody's ever winning 300 games again. Not unless there's a colossal change in the dynamic, the way the game's played. Offensively, now we think about all these guys who have hit 500 and 600 home runs. That used to be a really exclusive club. Now I understand as you go further into time, more guys are going to join it. But for 100 years in baseball, there was like 12 guys hit 500 home runs. Well, yeah, probably 100 years. Now there's going to be a bunch of them. And that was an automatic induction. It isn't anymore. 400 used to be enough to get you the Hall of Fame in most cases. So, the way we judge players, especially pitchers, is going to be much different. CA's on his comment with record title and artist. Good job. What do you got here, Neil? Glad you mentioned Stratomatic. Played it growing up. Now an APBA player. I never played APBA. I don't think. I've seen it and I've thought about it. And I don't play in person anymore. Drew's always asked me to come by and play, and I go, yeah, I'll play it. And I never do it. But I play the Stratomatic online. a lot. And it's not this, it's kind of the same. I mean, you set up your strategies. In the mystery leagues, you pick teams, and they have any one of 5 seasons that could be chosen for that particular season. So it's kind of a crapshoot. You can also play individual seasons, right? And know exactly what season you're getting. And you can play full seasons and play as a team. I play in a mystery tournament, which covers the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And then you accumulate points for winning the individual competitions and the top 24 teams. There's like 250 teams in there. I finished 41st last year out of 250. I was very happy. That was my best finish so far. But I've also played in, there's some guys that I've come to know. A lot of them in Canada, by the way, Neil. Ton of guys play Stratomatic in Canada. It's amazing. But one of these guys is, a couple of them. I joined a league that is run by some guys. It's a 24-team league, and the winner of the previous season gets to pick the card set that they play with. Right now, it's all-time greats with an $80 million cap, and I didn't do well in the last version of that. The guy who won it decided to keep the same version. And then there's another guy who puts together a couple of things. Progressive leagues, so you can draft guys. So we're playing the 60s. I came in the middle of the 60s, and I took over a really bad team. I finished with only 56 wins the first year, 1967. So the guys have to, if they played before 1967, you can't take the cards. If there's no cards on their available for them, and they're rookies in the year that you might be playing in. So anyway, I finished first in 1968. So I went from losing 106 games to winning a division. I'm in the semifinals now, but I'm down 3 games to 1. So I got to make a comeback. And then he has a 2-team league that he runs where you can draft players. And it could be 60s or 70s. Actually, it progresses from the 60s to 70s, 80s to the 2000s. And you have 2 teams. So you draft a team, and then you draft a second team, and you only take players that played on those teams. I don't know why I'm explaining this, because nobody's going to care except Neil. And then the following year, you can either drop one of the teams, keep both of the teams, or pick 2 new teams. So and then you have a draft for that. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I won one of those. I love Stratomatic, right? It's big online now, Brian. Stratomatic online. Leave a link later. I love that board game as well as All-Star Baseball. I played All-Star Baseball for sure. I'll leave you a link. Remind me to put it in the chat later, the group chat, Danny, and I'll do that. It's a little different because you're playing 3 games a night, right? You set your strategy, you can set your lineups and all that, and for against left hand, against righties, and against specialties and all this other stuff, platoons, and you can set your strategy as far as you want to be aggressive or, not aggressive, and base running, base stealing, when to play your infield in and when to play your infield out. But you're not managing the game pitch by pitch, right? There are digital games that you can get involved with, and I do fool around with that a little bit, that you are managing it pitch by pitch. But you play 3 games in a night, and the computer plays the games based on the settings you set up. And it's some weird shit happens, but which online type with Stratomatic? Again, you can play. They have single season sets. They have all-time great sets. They have mystery league sets in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 2000s, which I said you have 5 seasons on a card. You don't know which season the player's going to get for that particular season. It stays that season the entire way through. But it's a lot of fun. I have a blast with it. Send you the link if you want to. It's Stratomatic 365. Is if you want to look it up, you'll find the link for sure. It was a baseball board game back when we were kids, before the dawn of time. So now they still play the board game, and There you go. I'll send you the link, and when they're looking for guys for some of these leagues I play in, I'll let you know. I got way too many teams going right now. It's hard to manage all these teams at one time. Yeah, the kiddies doing well. Looks like I'm about 30 minutes behind. I apologize, guys. Thank you, though, Donna. She's just getting older. She's laying here next to me now. She gets up and down the stairs. She gets in the litter box. I'm trying to keep weight on her. She's on a special diet. So we got to see the doctor before we go, just to put my own mind at ease. It's possible. It is very possible that this time Monday morning or Tuesday morning, I'm in a car on my way to Florida. Andrew McCutcheon wants to keep going. Still a free agent right now. Pirates still working on the roster before they commit to a platoon DH. Reminds me of the final days of Bernie Williams. Bernie was a better player than McCutcheon. McCutcheon had some really good years, but I think Bernie was a better player overall. There's still some decent players out there, free agents. Spring training, pitchers and catchers only a couple of weeks away. Suarez hasn't signed yet, third base. Ozuna at the outfield. Framber Valdez hasn't signed yet. Neither, and old timers Verlander and Scherzer haven't signed. There's a lot of guys unsigned 2 weeks, 3 weeks from pitchers and catchers. Maybe a little more than that. 3 weeks probably, right? Spot on 4 on 5 at most if Broncos win 7-8. Geez, Broncos might be more. You're just saying about right. I think 4 or 5 would be about right for the Patriots. I think if the Broncos win, we may be approaching 10, 9 anyway. We will be sailing through the Gulf of America, without a doubt. Yeah, I got to get some wool. After a lot of talking, I still get a little hoarse, as you can tell. There's a hello to J-Train. Chris said Josh DePaul is a prospect to watch. He's ready to lift off, and now his path to the bigs is blocked by Kyle Tucker. Well, Danny can probably speak to that. Listen, Kyle Tucker's a nice player. Would I pay Kyle Tucker $60 million a year? No, I wouldn't. I think Bo Bichette, quite frankly, is a better signing for the Mets. I like Bellinger better, quite frankly, than Tucker now as well. Better defensively. Tucker was a plus defender, and he's kind of league average now. But listen, again, he's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay him. Whether you earn it, up to you. Good morning, Matt. Good to have you with us. Matt, the sender of many great cards to Keith. Matt, I think you were on during Christmas when I had the tree behind me and I had it decorated. Rather than bulbs and such, I had your cards hanging from my tree. I did no damage to them. They just kind of sat up there. If the Pats lose, we can cast doubt. Fair? Maybe. I mean, again, this is not a bad football team. I don't think the Pats season isn't like a total waste if they lose here. They should not lose. They should not lose to Jared Stidham. I'm not casting doubt on their entire season of 16. Well, they got, they go 14. So they got 16 wins so far. I would have been happy at 9-8 in the playoff berth. Perspective changes. I will be immensely disappointed with a loss today. But I know this team's on the right track. Because there's places to improve this team still. And this defense, by the way, has been getting better and better and better. They had one bad half in the second half of the season against Buffalo. Since Williams has come back into the middle of that defensive line, they have been beasts. both stuffing the run and rushing the passer. Go ask C.J. Stroud. Go ask Bobby Herbert, who's probably still sitting in a ice bath right now after that beating he took against the Patriots. This is not a bad football team. If they were to lose today, it's not a bad football team. I don't expect that to happen. This is a very, very good football team. Can we talk January 12, 1969? You can. You didn't start a dynasty. One Super Bowl isn't a dynasty, Billy. That was the non-beginning of a dynasty. It's probably the definitive non-beginning of a dynasty. As you got two AFC championship games in how many years? 57 years since. I know people, I won't name them here, that are rooting. They say the Jets will never win as long as Joe Namath is alive because he sold his soul to the devil. I myself do not subscribe to that. Foles might be the most famous back. Foles is a good one. Foles, Danny, that's a good one. Because he didn't play a ton. And Doug Williams, in fairness, I don't think played really, regularly until the playoffs for the Redskins in 88. I don't remember the year now. But Foles is probably a good one. He's the only backup quarterback I know who's got a statue. Also put a pretty good knocking on the Patriots this past week. Give a guy a statue, he just turns into a freaking prima donna, right? Should have beat you that game. Butler plays. Never mind. Foles, I think, came in the playoffs. He might have played the end of the regular season. But he didn't play nearly as much as Hostetler. He didn't play nearly as much as Dilfer. Didn't play nearly as much as Kurt Warner, who played the whole season. But Foles played mostly, I believe, in the playoffs. I believe Carson Wentz got hurt one of the last couple games of the regular season. Carson Wentz had a great season that year. So Nick Foles has two really good runs with the Eagles, and he's got a statue. And he made a bunch of money off of 2 different years and 2 decent strings of games. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us. There you go, week 14. I would have thought 15, but I wasn't sure. So good call. Thanks for checking on that, Danny. Frank Reich's another good one coming back in that divisional round. He came in the middle of the game. He didn't start the game, and he didn't play again afterwards. But that's a pretty good one. Both one of the greatest comebacks in history and meltdowns simultaneously in NFL history. I remember that game vividly. Now, here's the thing. Jack said earlier that, Stidham was one of the best 5 backup quarterbacks in football today. That's not even close to being accurate. I said bottom 5, and maybe that's harsh. I'm going to check it out before I jump on Jack tomorrow. Or congratulate him, one or the other. Actually, he didn't pick Denver to win. But he did say Stidham was one of the best backups. So we'll still congratulate him. Stidham should lead him to victory. It's the only way I will. But Frank Reich was one of the top 5 backups in football at the time, I would say. I think that's fair. You're welcome. No wonder I fall behind. I put up all these thank yous and you're welcomes. Championship Sunday is one of the best. It can be better than Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday is too long, too much buildup all day long. We'll have elongated half times, I'm sure, today as well, because now we do that whenever we get a chance, but not like the Super Bowl. A lot of times the games are better. You don't have that 2-week layoff. But I like this day a lot. I'm a big divisional round because I got 4 games, right? I like the divisional round because you got football all day Saturday, all day Sunday, basically. And waiting around for the Super Bowl is just a drag, man. And I've spent the last 10 Super Bowls on a cruise ship. So the day goes by pretty quick. But I like Championship Sunday. I can just settle in. I'm home. Jack was still a young boxer in 1969. I was surprised the Steelers picking McCarthy. Again, you got my reasoning. I think they don't want to rebuild. They've used the word the phrase they do not like the word rebuilding. The organization has the GM and the ownership. I think Mike McCarthy's kind of a stopgap. Probably keeping Rodgers, as much as I'm not a big Rodgers fan, is probably their best option right now. They're not going to get somebody in the draft that can step in now. I mean, look, remember, they're still burned by Kenny Pickett. Do you see them picking? I don't know where they pick in the 20s somewhere, probably, right? You see them taking Ty Simpson? It's Kenny Pickett 2.0. So I think it's short term, and I think Marcus Freeman is the guy they're kind of waiting for till he's ready and they're ready. That's what I think. I could be 100% wrong. I originally thought McCarthy being the pick. And by the way, McCarthy's not a bad football coach. Don't forget, he sat out last season. He had a losing season in Dallas his last season, but 3 years before he won 12 games. He's won a Super Bowl. His career arc is very, other than the fact that it's with 2 different teams, and he's had a handful of losing seasons in there, isn't dissimilar to Mike Tomlin. Now, he's not going to be there 18 years unless he's coaching until he's 80 years old. But I think Mike McCarthy's a short-term guy, and I think he's a good fit for the short term. Originally, Don says originally thought McCarthy being the pick was that they were hoping that Tomlin would take the year off and come back. That's not happening. I don't see that happening. I know you laughed after, so. I think Mike Tomlin's, I said this, I think, last week. I think Tomlin's done. I don't think he'll come back. I think he'll follow the Bill Cowher route and either get into TV or something else that he likes. I know he wants to, he's got still younger-ish kids that he wants to, see them participate in their activities. I think he's going to get away from this and think, I'm not coming back. So if I donate, if a donator offers $15 to $20 million randomly, is that tampering? Yes, if he's out of the portal, technically, yes. I'm sure it happens. Well, because who's policing it? Who's policing who's contacting who outside the portal? Nobody. And the NCAA wants to wait till Congress gets involved before they really put any hard and fast rules into place. That's just total BS. Right? I don't know if you could hear that, but you want Congress? They can't do. They make a mess of everything they touch. Tatis is still the only one? I thought he was the last one. He's the only one. Thank you, Danny. Omar, 11 Gold Gloves. Great player. Omar Vizquel should be getting better consideration for the Hall of Fame vote. I believe he got I want to say he got 17%. Let me see. I think he's got 1 year left on the ballot too, by the way. MLB. I believe when I looked at this the other day that he had 18%. I want the full. There it is. Hold on. Omar Vizquel got 18.4% of the vote in his 9th year of eligibility. Next year's is last year. Manny Ramirez falls off this year. Now his fate is in the hands of the veterans. You will see pitchers in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you're not going to be able to just eliminate them, Donna. But again, the criteria for judging them is going to be very, very subjective, and it's going to be based on ERA and WHIP, and we're going to unfortunately probably get into more of the more metrics that really aren't that important. Now, ERA is important, but it's also affected by the defensive team behind you, not whether they make errors or not, but whether they get the balls or not. So, I mean, ERA and WHIP are decent stats, but there's not going to be automatically say, oh, this guy's in the Hall of Fame because he won 290 games. Because there's going to come a time we're not going to see 200 game winners, much less 3. Ozzie has 13 Gold Gloves. And Ozzie's in the Hall of Fame because of his glove. 100%. I don't think we put enough into it. And then I already tell you what Stratomatic was. Baseball board. It was a board game, which now is also played. And they have all these metrics, individual players. In some instances, you can put teams together. On the online version, you put a team together based on a salary cap. They're all assigned a salary. But you can play versions of, you can play guys who played in the 1800s, and you can play with guys who played today. It's a lot of fun. It's hard to really explain if you don't know anything, Donna. I don't mean that as a shot to you. It's a baseball board game where it originated in the 50s, maybe it was the 60s. And a lot of us guys played it as a kid on the board with dice. It was a lot of fun. I don't know what you care about. I'll do that for sure. I'll try to post a link on the TGI Sports Talk page, as well as our group chat. Anybody wants to get in that TGI Sports Talk group chat is more than welcome to get in. Donna, you want to get in? I'll be happy to send you an invite. Danny and Paul, Michael was involved a lot. He hasn't been around recently. What we certainly hope that he finds his way back. Rick, Alan Perales all do a lot of chatting in there about all kinds of different stuff. Some of it is Danny and Paul bickering back and forth, but that can be entertaining as well. So anybody who's ever watching, you can feel free to drop me a personal message, and I'll be happy to add you to that chat. You can certainly participate. See, Keith Stratomatic became a topic of conversation today. Amazing. I didn't think that would happen. You never know what we're going to talk about on a Sunday here. I still have an electric handheld baseball game somewhere. Cool. You're talking about I know what you're talking about. Oh my God, those games were the football and baseball games, the handheld, I don't know, Mattel might have made them. Oh gosh, right? Now that came well after, Stratomatic, but you're probably younger than me, Matt. Donna loves McCutcheon. He's a great person, and I feel that he still has at least one more year in him. His years haven't been great. I mean, he's a good bench player, 4th or 5th outfielder. Spot him here and there against lefties. But he's not a guy who's going to give you 140 games a year. But he was a nice player. Who was I comparing him with before? Bernie? Bernie Williams was a better player than McCutcheon in my mind, but McCutcheon had some really good years in Pittsburgh. Let's go Rams. Matt says, I like Seattle in this game. Again, they're without Charbonneau, which if Kenny Walker plays like he has the last couple of games, not going to matter. The important thing for the Seattle here, I think, is to play, obviously, the defense that they've played and pressure Matthew Stafford, be able to run the football, and Sam Darnold can manage the game and not have to go out and win it for them. I think if they do that and don't ask Darnold to do too much, I think they win this football game. If they ask Darnold to do too much and he panics like we've seen him do in the past, they'll lose. And no matter how well they play, don't give Matthew Stafford the ball with a chance to win the game late in the fourth quarter. I think Seattle wins. Tucker and $60 million. Again, I wouldn't give it to him, but it's the Dodgers should be able to run their team any way they want. JB brought this up again in the MLB update the other day. I want to pay a guy $60 million a year. I should be able to do it. I don't want a cap. I don't want a luxury tax anymore. Teams don't take that money and do anything with it. If you can't run an organization and you can't keep up with the Joneses because of finances, then sell the team to somebody who can. Or in the sense of true free market system, let them fail. Let them go out of business. That's what happens in the real world. We don't need 32 teams. We talked about this the other day. We don't need 32 teams. We don't need all the teams we have in any league in sports. It dilutes the talent. It makes the quality of play worse. We could operate with 4 less teams. Somebody mentioned 24. I'm all right with that. It's not going to happen because the commissioner's talking about expanding. Well, we got teams that don't support their teams now. Oakland didn't support their team. Tampa doesn't support their team. I'm okay with contraction. I would have been all right when contraction was on the table 15 years ago, when the Twins and the Expos were nearly contracted. But I'm a free market guy, man. You get what somebody's willing to pay you. Now, Matt, do I think he's going to earn $60 million? No, I'll probably tell you at the end of next season he didn't earn it. But I'm not going to tell you right now he's not worth it when somebody's willing to pay you that. I'm going to take whatever somebody's willing to give me. Whether I earn it's up to me. Going to try and get ahead of this snow. Safe travels and have a great vacation. Thank you. It just started snowing here, by the way. Or I'm going to say just started snowing. It's very light. But the heaviest stuff here is going to be from noon to midnight. At sometimes it'll be 2 to 3 inches an hour. So buckle up. Be safe out there, Donna. Blue Jays appear to be committing to Ernesto Clement as a full-time third baseman. You can't sell me on this Lodgebunk Hero from the Bronx. I don't know. He's a nice bench player. I don't know if I want him playing, 140 games a year either. Steve Berline for the 91-92 Cowboys won a wild card game and they lost to the Lions and Barry Sanders. I remember that. But let's see, was that Aikman's second year? Didn't Aikman get hurt during the season? Or did he come in just for the playoffs, Berline? Neil. Trying to speed this up a little bit. Now to be safe. Steelers will have 2 12-win seasons, losing the first round. He's done. And then Marcus Freeman. And I don't doubt that could be a scenario, Neil. I think McCarthy's a good coach. I really do. He does have a Super Bowl, so he's 11-11 in the playoffs. He hasn't lost every game he ever played in the playoffs. With the Cowboys, yes. But I see this exact scenario as a distinct possibility, and then Marcus Freeman is named the head coach of the Steelers. It's just a gut feeling. I know Tomlin's only 53, and I would say that he's right around the same age as Cowher was when he retired. And again, his name's going to come up for years, just like Cowher's name came up for years. I mean, there were several coaching cycles where the Giants were involved, where Bill Cowher's name kept coming up. How old is he now? Actually, he's probably younger. No, he's 68. Yeah, so he probably retired 18. He was 50. He was younger than Tomlin when he retired. Never came back. I'm sorry. Yeah, not Fuller. Danny Fuller. Mike Tomlin is older than Bill Cowher was when Bill Cowher stepped away. And I don't think Cowher stepped away thinking he'd never come back. I think he got away from it, enjoyed what he was doing in TV, enjoyed being around his family more, and it just never happened. I'm sure he took an interview here and there. There will be teams that will want Mike Tomlin to come back, and he could come back. I could be wrong. It's a 100% a gut feeling. It feels a lot like Bill Cowher, other than the fact that Bill Cowher went out with a Super Bowl win. It feels a lot like Bill Cowher. I'm catching up. I think the number is 13, which is kind of high if you ask me. Players have hit 2 grand slams in one game. It does seem high. So Tatis was the last. Mattingly, 85 MVP. Then Clemens got in 86. Still ticks me off. Don's numbers were great in 86 too. I agree. If you watch, you'll watch our show, Matt, Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. Check it out. I think I set it up for the 30th while we'll both be away. So we got 3 consecutive shows on the 30th through the through something. 30th through the 6th, which will be pre-recorded. The show that's on the 30th, we talked about our all-time players by position who did not make a World Series. Don Mattingly was both of our first basemen, just to give you a little idea about what I think about Donnie baseball. You want to get in the chat, Brian? I'll be happy to send you an invite there. Uh, 1961, a year after our birth, is when Stratomatic came into the United States. There you go. Thank you, Danny. I don't appreciate you pointing out how old I am, but I guess there's no hiding it anymore. I don't feel 65. And in fact, I told Danny this in the chat the other day. I really like being 65. If you told me this when I was 40, I'd tell you were nuts. But I like being 65. I like being in my 60s. I've enjoyed it every minute. It's really been the best decade of my life, quite frankly, up till now. Hopefully it continues. I probably just jinxed myself. But I love it. And Danny just pointed out how exactly I do it all the time. I'm in my 66th year. Gannon has been hired by DC, as the DC by Green Bay. What happened to the secret talks that Sean McDermott was in there, I wonder? Classless, by the way. We didn't talk about it in this show. You can go back and we can get into it in the last 20 minutes if you want. But, Sean McDermott, you can fire him if you want. And I know I'm tough on my coaches, right? Danny, you can call me out. Jack certainly will about, me wanting Aaron Boone fired when the Yankees are winning 95 games a year or more. Mostly. But this is the Yankees. The Buffalo Bills went, I believe, 17 or 18 years, and fact check me if I'm wrong, without making the playoffs before Sean McDermott got there. And they've made the playoffs every year but one since he got there. Couldn't get over the top. He got to 2 or 3, I guess 2 AFC championship games. And I'm not saying he shouldn't get fired. It is certainly within Terry Pegula's rights to fire the coach if he didn't want him. But for him to go in that press conference and say he fired him only because I walked and Jack, I'm sorry, I'm going to call Jack out again tomorrow on this, because he said to me, he didn't fire him because he walked in and saw Josh Allen and other players crying. He said literally in his press conference, when I walked in that locker room and saw my players crying and my star quarterback with his head down crying, I decided that changes need to be made. And then he runs a bus over him about Keon Coleman, defending his general manager as he's taking the heat, who he promoted, by the way, the same day he fired McDermott. And a GM doesn't get fired if you're wondering why, because he didn't hire McDermott. And I'm not saying he's got every right to fire him. Every right. But you can show a little more class than what you did. How about thanking him for what he did for the organization for the last 9 years? An organization that hadn't made the playoffs in almost 2 decades. You're classless, Terry Pegula. I'm paying for your new stadium, and you are one classless guy. Ridiculous. Today, I got to get some packing done because again, we're out of here at 6. Hopefully, out of here at 6 a.m. Tuesday, and I got a very busy day tomorrow, so I'll probably finish up some packing tomorrow. But I got to get a little stuff out of the way today. The show's over here in 15 minutes, and we got just 4 hours until game time. So we'll have some. I don't know what my wife's got. It might be leftovers, quite frankly, because we were out to dinner yesterday. We got leftovers. We got pizza from Friday. Fridays are pizza day. We're out of here in 2 days, so we don't want food laying around. So we'll probably just pick my Mexican leftovers and a piece of pizza and have some fun. And we're getting my fire, my blankie, my Patriots gear, my fan, and chat with my Patriot boys. Nah, I watched the game. So I don't get involved in chats, TGI Sports Talk chat, or our McGrath Podcast Network chat. Don't take offense. I don't get involved. I watch the game. I can't be distracted. Chuck Noll coached for 21 years in Pittsburgh as well and didn't coach after that. Chuck Noll was a little older, though, I think. Chuck was probably in his 60s when he retired, I would think. Brian, I'm not positive about that, but I would think Chuck Noll was probably late 50s, maybe. Let me see. Let's find out. Chuck Noll age at... Is it fun to listen to me type? Chuck was 59 years old when he retired. A little bit older. It's funny, too. I don't remember when Chuck Noll retired, a lot of chatter afterwards that he was interested in jobs or people were interested in him. I'm sure it came up. Remember, we didn't have the same social media world that we had today. We didn't have ESPN. Well, ESPN was probably just being born or was in its infancy, I guess. So I guess we had that. But we didn't have, the 24 hours cycles of news, sports news that we have today. But I don't remember his name coming up, in connection with it, every other job that opened the following few years. Now, Bill Cowher, his name came up every single year for, I want to say, nearly a decade, a good 5 or 6 years anyway. And then it would pop up less and less, but it would still come up. Mike Tomlin is going to be the same thing. And I'm sure that Bill Cowher, probably considered a couple of those jobs. I remember this is quite a while ago now, when the Giants were looking for a coach. It was probably before Mike Tomlin. Might have been that same hiring cycle when they hired Tomlin. Bill Cowher was rumored to be strongly considering that job. So we'll see. I have nothing to go on other than my gut that says he's done. I'm sorry, somehow I turned on a Patriot video here. I'm excited about today, guys. As a Patriot fan, so we got about 12 minutes left. It feels like a long time since we've been here. Remember, went to 14 conference championship games in 20 years. You get spoiled, and I admit, I'm the first guy to admit I'm spoiled. The last 5 years have felt like a freaking eternity. We haven't been to a championship game since more than that, 6 years, 7 years. We haven't been to a championship game since what, 18? I think. We haven't been in the playoffs in 4. Feels like forever. I don't know how you guys do it, Jet fans. Sorry, CJ, Jack. We're going to be, I think Chuck, he was 59. I did check that, Danny. We're going to be 60 young in today's era. We're going to be 65. Listen, there are certainly days I feel my age. I'm doing things to improve my health, and I want to live a long time. I like it here so much. I'm in no hurry to go anywhere. It's funny. My wife was talking about some friends of hers that they're like, I don't want to live to be old. And again, getting old can be really ugly, right? I watched my father-in-law at the end. It was hard. My dad's struggling now, but still getting by. I can't imagine not wanting to be here. They talk about, I don't want to get old. I want 77, 78. That's enough. Not for me. I want to be here till I'm 100. 35 more years. That would mean I got a third of my life left. I'd like to look at it that way, not 25%. You're talking, it's shocking. I think I get what you're saying. I'm getting to read Danny talking into the phone. I'm starting to understand it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Danny, but I'm starting to grasp it. So I think I might put, I'm going to put Brian in the chat. I know he requested that. And if anybody else does, I could put Donna in there, but I don't know if she really wants to get in or not. She didn't say an affirmative or a negative, I guess, either way. But we'll get Brian in there. I'm sure Brian will, well, that's kind of weird. Got a strange message from somebody I haven't talked to in about 20 years. Anyway, as a Patriot fan, that's what I was talking about. Sorry, the Patriot fan in me. I've missed this. It's amazing how, again, remember, there's a lot of front-runner Patriot fans. There's a lot of front-runner fans everywhere. I am not one of them. Paul Spada asked me the other day, how did I, here in New York, ever become a Patriot fan? Well, as I explained to him, when I was like 11, the first pro sports game I went to was a Patriot game against Kansas City. in the old Schaefer Stadium. Excuse me, it was Schaefer Stadium at the time. And I really liked the team a lot. And that it grew. I kind of liked Buffalo a little bit when I was young with OJ and whatnot, but I still leaned towards Patriots all the time until it became a full-blown obsession in those mid 70s when I started making playoffs. And Steve Grogan took over from Plunkett. We got robbed in Oakland one year. The Darryl Stingley thing. I agree. And then we had season tickets from 80 to 91, I think. That was a great decade. So, again, no front running here. I suffered with this team for 30 years before they were any good. Had some decent years, as I said. Mid-70s. A couple of really good teams. One that I thought was a Super Bowl-worthy team that kind of got screwed. But, again, I'm not going to blame losses on referees. So, again, when I say that, I do root for a team that's lost a lot on questionable calls. They didn't lose just because of that. There's any number of things they could have done to avoid, getting called for a horrible roughing the quarterback and some other calls in that game. But Russ Francis mugged. But you play better, you coach better, and you don't put yourself in a position to lose that way. And Russ Francis was a great player, by the way. A guy who ought to be in the Hall of Fame. Great talent. Again, you didn't see tight ends catching 100 passes a year there then. And he just tragically passed away here the last year, maybe 2 or 3 years. Actually died in a private plane crash just very close to us here up near Lake Placid. But it's great to be back because, again, I remember there was no better feeling for me. The first Super Bowl we went to, 86. It was exciting to get there. Really exciting. The excitement went away a lot when it was 35-3 at halftime. The second time against the Packers in 96, we had to suffer through the whole freaking Bill Parcells freaking mess, which really took a shine off that week. And then 2002, with everything that went on, 9/11 and all that, and it just felt like destiny. The way Brady stepped up, this team was 5-5 and not looking like they were going anywhere. And they won their last 6 games. They get to a Super Bowl. They beat a really good Pittsburgh team in Pittsburgh when Drew Bledsoe came off the bench after not playing since he got nearly killed by Mo Lewis in the second week of the season or third week of the season. And helped that team to victory in Pittsburgh. Troy Brown with a big punt return. Then you get to the Super Bowl and they're 14.5-point favorites, and I'm thinking, God, it was great to get here. But we're going to get killed by the greatest show on turf. But as that weekend, I think there was only a week between the playoffs or the championship games and the Super Bowl that year. I'm not positive. I think there was only a week. I found a way. I had convinced myself we were going to win this game. And my fandom, to show you how much, I get busted a lot for always picking my team when they're bad. Drew's always getting on me. You wouldn't take your team. Well, screw that. I don't care about money. There's no money involved in that, but I don't care about money. Money comes and money goes. Championships don't. We had never won a championship. I stood at halftime to win $5,000 in a might have been that $500 pool Lance used to have. $5,000 at halftime if the score stayed the same, or if the Patriots kicked the field goal. That's what it was. And they were driving, and I wanted the touchdown. I don't want the field goal. I wanted the touchdown. Without the touchdown, we may not win that game. They scored a touchdown, David Patton, near the half. I'm always going to root against money when it comes to my team. I don't care about the money. My team is not playing at somebody else. That's different. And then I got spoiled because we were, 14 championship games in 20 years. You get spoiled. And we said every year we go to games, we'd sit there and during the playoffs, and I talked to my buddy Mark, and we go, there's going to come a time where we're just like everybody else, and it's going to suck. And that's where we've been. And I'm happy to get here. So I'm having a lot of fun. As long as I'm mobile, I know who I am and I know who others are. I'm fine growing into a certain age. But when the mind goes and the legs go, it's time for me to go. My mind is the most important thing. Even if I was immobilized, I could enjoy life. I could figure it out. Mind is, you can't figure out. Anything else I can figure out. I want my health. Don't get me wrong. And when I say I want to be 100, I want to be 110, Danny, but I want to be, a bit mobile, and I want to have my faculties. And I don't want to, it's hard to watch some people get older. The end of life is not pretty, but I want to be here. I'm excited. And I love it right now. I love it. I spent the best 5 years of my life. I'm sorry if I can read Paul's chat from his phone. Paul, I have a little more trouble with than Danny. Hello, Sonia. Good to have you with us for our last couple of minutes. We're about 2 minutes away from getting out of here, but it's good to have you with us today. Going to go back and watch your show and see if you did root against my Patriots. And I know, Sonia, that you're only rooting for the Patriots. And when I was on Sonia's show a couple of weeks ago, make sure you check her show out. Sonia, before I go, I'll go over a couple minutes. Put a post up to promote your show, please, and go back and watch her show. She had one of the characters from Dan Patrick's show on yesterday. I know you're only rooting for the Patriots because Sean Payton's one of the guys on your enemies list, right? I know that, but we'll take that. We'll take what we get. Just got off online worship, joining you now. Well, we're going to be going off to my getting ready for a Patriot game worship. I hope you said a prayer for me because no lie, Keith won't even hedge his bets to guarantee payday. That's all I've always been at. I play golf. I'm all or nothing. Golf course management not always my best attribute because I like to go for the. That's why Phil Mickelson, until he started taking blood money, was my favorite golfer, maybe of all time. But that's just my mentality. I don't hedge. I don't like second. Second to me is just the first loser. Be to 110 for sure with my right mind. I'm with you, Sonia. Let's do it. Let's do it. A couple of hellos for Sonia, but we're going to wrap it up here soon. As soon as Sonia gives me something to promote her show. Everybody says hello to Sonia. Hello, Sonia. Exactly, Tasty. Check. There you go. Check out all things football from a lady's perspective. Check out her show yesterday, too. Good morning, John Gonzalez from the aforementioned sports authorities, the best group out there. John does a great job picking the Patriots in Seattle today. Oh, I read that wrong. Sorry, John. John is a well-known Patriot hater. I hate to get off now. I hate to leave because, John just got here and Sonya just got here. So I go a couple more minutes. I'm not going to go much longer, though. Got a lot of things I got to do before 3 o'clock today. GQ John Gonzalez is in the house. John is the man. There you go. There's Sonia's YouTube page. You can check out her show and you can check out her last episode. Don't kowtow to the guys who come out wearing their gear. I got to watch the episode this afternoon, Sonia. Absolutely. We'll go a little bit longer. We're not going to go too much longer, but I've already talked myself out, man. It's like 3 hours of me is enough, isn't it? Hour on the big football show and 2 hours here. My wife doesn't even put up with me for that period of time. My God. It's pretty short. Yeah, I'll get it in today. Don't worry. Exciting, though. AC has said later that Championship Sunday is great. It is when your team's involved, I can tell you right now. I love you too, John. I know you don't love the Pat. I'm going to say this one more time for your benefit, John, because I don't think we had a chance to talk about it, because I know you're one of the guys that have chided them for their easy schedule and the fact that Nico Collins didn't play and Bo Nix isn't playing. Okay, all fair points. But they destroyed those easy teams that you said they had to play. And I'll point out one thing to you. If the Patriots should win today, and I'm betting the Patriots minus 3.5, and I'm betting Seattle minus 3.5 or 2.5, minus 2.5 for the Seattle. If the Patriots win today, and they should go on to a Super Bowl victory, which I am not saying is going to happen, to get there in the playoffs, they will have beaten 4 of the top 5 defenses in football. I'm just saying. Sorry, Danny, I stole your line there. You're the best, Sonia. Hello to Danny. John Gonzalez, hope your picks are correct. Wait a minute. Oh, that's right. You did take a goal against the Patriots. I'm telling you, Stidham winning this game would be huge, a huge upset. The game itself, just a quarterback, if he, again, am I wrong? Can anybody dispute that I'm correct saying, and I did say bottom 5. Jack Hurst said top 5 backups, and I told Jack, you're nuts, he's bottom 5. Maybe I'm being too critical, and I said before tomorrow morning show with Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, I will verify my thoughts. But I will tell you that Jarrett Stidham is closer to the bottom 5 of backup quarterbacks than he is the top 5. I definitely don't want either, I'm guessing. Everybody talking into their phone today. Agree with John. Love Keith for the Pats. No love lost. I love that. Here's what's been the most fun thing over the last 25 years. Okay, maybe not the last 5, but during that 20-year run, I loved people hating my team. What I hate bandwagon jumpers more than anything. I give people credit who, maybe they're only 30 now, so they grew up being Patriot fans, and because they were good when they started paying attention to football. But guys who jump from their team to my team, I don't like it. I hate it. Ironically, I did like the Pats when I had Plunkett throwing to Vataha. Teammates in college at Stanford, Randy Vataha and Jim Plunkett. And ironically, the Patriots, the Patriots for years, by the way, until Tom Brady, basically, Drew Bledsoe. I can certainly tell you in the 80s when we had season tickets through the 80s and early 90s, they wanted whoever wasn't playing quarterback. It was the same. It was whoever the starting quarterback was, they wanted whoever the backup was. When Plunkett was the quarterback, they wanted Grogan. When Grogan was the quarterback, they wanted Ramsey, or they wanted Wilson, or whatever. Then when Eason was the starting quarterback, they wanted Grogan, and then they wanted Flutie, and then they wanted whomever. Oh, it was awful, man. And quite frankly, the team got a lot better when Plunkett, who got the crap beat out of him. I'll give Jim Plunkett credit because his best season there was 7-7, I want to say. And he got the crap beat out of him. He had a couple really good years in New England, and then things really started to go downhill, and they traded him for a boatload of draft picks to the 49ers, which really made them a better team as we got to the mid-70s, and Grogan took over that team. And they had really, really good football teams in 75, 76, 77. Then Chuck Fairbanks wants to leave, and they fire him. He takes a job at Colorado. He's going to finish the season. They fired him, and Ron Harrahart coached the game. Then they brought him back for the playoffs, and they were one and done. It was ridiculous. We'd have one fan in Paul Spada. Chili Knicks going down as an epic as when Rodgers went down in his Jets debut. I'm not happy. I want to be clear about one thing. I'm not happy Bo Nix isn't playing today. I want to beat teams at their best. I don't want to listen to people's BS about who played, who didn't play. I want to beat you at your best. I always want to beat you at your best. Yours was spelled correctly, Keith. I'm actually texting from my phone. Texting is difficult for me as well. Danny speaks into his phone, and I have to disseminate that. I Sonia to a Sports Authority legend, my favorite West Coast Bruin, Danny Fuller. No punctuation. Is everybody talking to their phone today? Danny's a legend for sure. You're a legend, John. Did I show my, when John comes on, I like to let him know that I have this card right next to me all the time now when I'm doing the show. Show my love for Joe Namath. John and I's only major spat over the years has been over Joe Namath. I thought we were going to have to go to counseling. Sonia's brother loves the Pats. I told him he's a bandwagoner, but he loved them his whole life. How old is he? Definitely going to be a game changer. The quarterback who hasn't thrown more than 700 days. 700 plus days. Probably maybe 800 days. DF wrong. I love Pats when they sucked in the 60s and 70s, as did I. And I was there. Why did Danny call you a bandwagon jumper? I don't think I saw that. If you did, I apologize for it. We know you're Boston Paul. Listen, I sat through a 1-15 season with season tickets. Never missed a game. Rod Russ was a coach, if you want to know. Oregon. Now I'll stop. Danny says, Bam Bam Cunningham, Sam Bam. USC grad. Sorry, Danny. He was a great player, by the way. Chili means child. Oh, sorry. I'm old. I'm old and very Yankee. We know who your team is. I don't know all Paul's history, so. But first of all, you can't have more than one team. I'm going to tell you again. You can only have one team. And again, I didn't jump a bandwagon with Miami. I jumped onto the team because of family obligations. They were no good when I started rooting for them, by the way. I had a begrudging respect for Miami in the 80s when they were the best team in college football for 2 decades almost. Rose 41. Okay. So he's had a chance to pick other teams before the Patriots were good. The banner less or quacks are always underrated in someone's eyes. Or underperforming. Underrated or underperforming, you can look at it both ways. Yeah, Nick Foles is a much better player than Jarrett Stidham, by the way. But I didn't expect to lose to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl either, in all fairness. And I'm sure he's still the only backup quarterback with a statue outside the stadium. Old Schaefer Stadium, man. You know, when we started and I'm only going to go till 11:15. I'm going to get out of here. I got a lot to do. The only thing you could get when we had our season tickets in the 80s was Schaefer LA beer. That's all you get. Low alcohol beer. 0.5. That's all they served in the entire place. Can't like other teams. No. For a day I can like other teams that I put money on, but I root for the Patriots. I root for the Yankees. I root for the Knicks. I root for the Hurricanes. The college football is a little bit different, I guess, but I only root for one team in college football, and that's the team I'm following. That. If you want to move from one team to another, I'll give you more credit for that. But guys who tell me I'm a New York fan, I know guys who root for the Jets and the Giants and the Mets and the Yankees. That's no. You know what? Fan is short for fanatic. Fanatics don't hedge. You're one or the other, man. Mendoza should have been a Kane. Mm-mm. Then they weren't interested out of college. They weren't interested in him out of high school. And then when he did transfer, from Cal, the Hurricanes wanted him before they signed Carson Beck, and his family, his mother, from what I understand, absolutely said, "We're sorry, you had your chance." And the rest is history. Happy to go overtime now and again when I can. I'm happy to do it. Now we're back in. Now we're back into time. We'll be full 2 hours, 9 to 11. Maybe not during the cruise. I don't know. We'll see. We plan on going live the next 2 Sundays. We'll see what StreamYard allows, and whether I'm live on Facebook or through StreamYard, we'll figure it out. Well, there's Denver. So, Sonia, I joked the other day, or I don't know, a while back, not that long ago, to Sonia in a text. The McGrath podcasting group chat, and I'd asked for a spreadsheet because I can't keep track of all the teams and people she hates in football. Every team that ever beat her, she hates. We beat you. You should hate me. You can love your number one, but like and respect others. I do respect other teams. I don't root for anybody. So again, when my team's not playing, I don't root for anybody unless I have money on a game. If not, I'm just watching a game, watching for a good game. I don't root. I root for a good game. I don't pull for anybody but my team and somebody I bet money on. You want that John Namath card? Matt gave it to me, but I'd be happy to send this to you, John, if you'd like it. You want it? Send me your address and I'll get it out to you. But then I won't have any Joe Namath memorabilia to remind me that it was so wrong. People that root for teams and they never even visit the city, to me, that's insane. I don't know about that. I mean, think about the 70s. There's tons, even Green Bay. I mean, there's tons of fans all over the country. Never been to Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's for sure. I don't think that's a huge deal. I mean, although I've spent a lot of time around the city of Boston. In fact, I had a guy say, you got to be a Red Sox fan if you're a Boston fan. Because they both play in Boston when the Patriots play in Foxborough, which is 22 miles from Boston. And nobody's going to get this except maybe Rick Sherlock if he's still here. I used to argue with the guy. He said, Boston is the same as Foxborough. I said, no, it's not. Albany's not the same as Amsterdam, which is 22 miles apart here in upstate New York. Nobody says Amsterdam's part of Albany. Where I live now, I'm 20 miles from Albany. Half Moon, New York, Saratoga Springs, New York, is not Albany. We will, Sonia. Hopefully we're getting on a plane at 6 a.m. Tuesday, or I'm driving my car to Florida. Straight through. Fanatics, ending with momentum for tomorrow, for sure. We're going to wrap it up, guys. John Gonzalez, great to have you with you. Here with Seattle going all the way, but losing Charbonneau does hurt. I agree. I'm I didn't say bully. I don't bully anybody. And you don't see me chirp during the games, right? I wait. I don't chirp a lot before, maybe a little bit. I mean, I'll give you my prediction. I'm a better loser than I'm a winner, but I don't really. If we start winning, a bunch of Super Bowls, you might find me unbearable. If you have an NFL team in your state, you shouldn't look outside that state. That's a bandwagon. That's not true. That's 100% not true. I became a Patriot fan, as I said. I live in New York, and the only New York team here is in Buffalo. Not rude. That would make every fan of the New York Giants and Jet fans bandwagon jumpers. First game I ever went to was in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Just saying. We can disagree. I know that for sure. It's changed a lot, though, from, the 80s when you drive down Route 1. It was like driving down, a county road in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's a stadium. It's a whole lot different now. Anaheim is in Los Angeles. That's a good call. Half Moon, that's my job. That's where we live, right here outside of Clifton Park, New York. I will start about 3 o'clock, 2:45. You'll hear the let's, you know what, go. Let's effing go. And then you won't hear from me for 3 hours. Oh, no, there's a lot of bandwagon. Listen, there's a lot of Patriot bandwagon jumpers. They weren't Patriot fans until they started winning. All these guys that where I grew up, I go up because I still go up to that area to watch the games every Sunday. And you see all these guys are Patriot fans. When I was a kid, there was 2 Patriot fans, me and my buddy and a teacher at the high school. That's it. Oh, it's changed a lot. Partition Place is almost a little city. What? Oh, I see what you're saying. I got you. Patriots Place. I got you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. You guys are the best audience out here in podcasting. This show is your show, and you guys drive it, and the conversations go where you take them, unless I have to make a detour. I knew what you meant there, buddy. So we'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack on Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. And we're going to put a Super Bowl show in the can tomorrow before I'm gone for the week. We'll have no live shows except for Sunday Stream of Consciousness. The next 2 Sundays, we'll have recorded pieces for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, and we'll be back live on the 10th. Not that Monday. We're going to delay the show until that Tuesday morning so we can recap the Super Bowl. I will try my best to get on the big football show or whatever we're calling it going forward on Sundays as well. We had a little trouble on the last trip. We'll see how that goes. Thank you, Sonia. Bill Slezak, Rick, was the only Patriot fan I knew besides Mark. Nick Monicati was a Pat. He started his career in Boston. Absolutely he was. Great call. So Bill Slezak is that teacher, the late, great Bill Slezak. Guys, have a great Sunday. Keith Engle from TGI Sports Sunday through the Fox. I had a blast. As always, we've gone about 21 minutes over, and I had a blast. See you guys later. Okay.